So, Governor, do you recognize this picture?
I do recognize the picture.
Briefly describe it to us. What is it? What's going on?
These were folks, I believe the people in the picture now are incarcerated in Minnesota.
It's a
to the best
precinct
of
3
my
burning down because of your decision. Was this a peaceful protest? Was this a peaceful protest?
The gentleman standing there?
Was this a peaceful protest?
It was a criminal act that people were prosecuted for.
So it wasn't a peaceful protest, right?
The hearing begins with a question that immediately sets the tone. Stauber asks, "Governor, do you recognize this picture?" And Walz responds, "I do recognize the picture." Stauber presses, asking him to describe it, to explain what's actually happening. Walz hesitates, but admits, "These were folks. I believe the people in the picture are now incarcerated." Then comes the bombshell question, "Minnesota burning down because of your decisions. Was this a peaceful protest?" Walz's answer is telling, it was a criminal act that people were prosecuted for. So no, it wasn't peaceful. This moment is critical. The image of the burning precinct in 2020 is burned into the memory of everyone who saw it, symbolizing the chaos that erupted. Stauber's goal here is simple: get Walz on record acknowledging the facts, and make it clear to the public that what happened wasn't some abstract protest, it was a violent riot.
Very much, Governor Walz, thanks for being here today. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I ask you to keep your remarks brief. I got a lot to go through. As you know, I spent 23 years as a law enforcement officer in the state of Minnesota. You know that, right? Do you know that, yes or no?
I don't know how many.
It's not a trick question.
I don't know
I'll
how many
answer it for you.
years.
23 years in Duluth.
Thank you for that.
So, Governor, do you recognize this picture?
I do recognize the picture.
Briefly describe it to us. What is it? What's going on?
These were folks.
From the very start, it's clear Stauber isn't holding back. A 23-year law enforcement veteran, he brings decades of credibility and experience into the room, and Walz immediately feels the pressure. The confrontation escalates quickly. Stauber paints a vivid picture of what happened during the riots: a precinct burned to the ground, officers put in danger, and citizens' safety compromised. Then, Walz had previously referred to law enforcement and ICE agents as modern-day Gestapo, which Stauber repeatedly calls out. The tension is palpable when Stauber drops the ultimate bomb, the stolen valor accusation. This isn't just politics, it's personal. Stauber has a moral stake in this, as someone who's served in uniform, and is not afraid to call out Walz for misleading the public about military service. The committee room suddenly feels less like a hearing and more like a confrontation where accountability can't be dodged.
I believe the people in the picture now are incarcerated in Minnesota.
It's a
to the
precinct
best of
3
my
burning down because of your decision. Was this a peaceful protest? Was this a peaceful protest?
The gentleman standing there?
Was this a peaceful protest?
It was a criminal act that people were prosecuted for.
So it wasn't a peaceful protest, right? As I watched lawlessness devastate Los Angeles this past week, I was reminded of your failure to protect Minnesota from similar riots. Governor Walz, on May 29th of 2020, during your own press conference, you described your response to the riots during the 2020 Summer of Love as, quote,
Stauber establishes his authority immediately. "Governor, I spent 23 years in law enforcement. Do you know that?" Walz's dismissive response, "I don't know," sets the tone for the clash. Stauber doesn't let it slide, calmly but firmly reminding Walz, 23 years in Duluth. Then comes the photo of the burning 3rd precinct. Stauber asks the most straightforward question: was this a peaceful protest? Walz attempts to dance around the issue, but the truth is unavoidable. It wasn't peaceful. It was a riot, a failure of leadership on Walz's watch. Stauber punctuates this with a reminder of Walz's own words, calling his response an abject failure. The governor tries to claim it was out of context, but when a police station burns down, context doesn't absolve responsibility. The public is meant to see the contrast: a seasoned officer standing for facts versus a politician trying to spin a catastrophic event.
An abject failure. Governor, I couldn't agree with you more.
That's out of context.
And on May 17th, 2025, you were at the law school, graduating Minnesota Law School, talking to the graduates. And we've talked about this. You called the enforcement of illegal immigrants a modern-day Gestapo. You've been asked 3-4 times if you would rescind that, and you won't. Will you rescind it? This is like the 5th time. Yes or no?
Congressman, I was talking to law students about due process, and I
So
said
you won't rescind it.
you took an oath to due
Governor,
process.
was there a violent al-Shabaab terrorist who entered our country illegally arrested in Minneapolis last year? Yes, there was. Were there 3 illegal child predators arrested by ICE in St. Paul earlier this year?
I certainly hope so. That's their job.
Yes, there was. Are the officers who arrested the al-Shabaab terrorists or the child predators, are they Nazi?
The confrontation escalates further when Stauber confronts Walz over calling ICE and law enforcement a modern-day Gestapo. These are officers risking their lives to remove violent criminals, terrorists, and child predators from the streets. Stauber methodically gives Walz multiple opportunities, 5 chances in total, to apologize or rescind his statement. Each time, Walz refuses, leaving the committee and the public to draw their own conclusions about his respect for law enforcement. This part of the exchange is particularly jarring. Think about it. Men and women in uniform risking their lives are compared to Nazis, and the governor doesn't correct himself. Stauber's repeated questioning highlights a serious disconnect between leadership rhetoric and the reality of public safety, and it exposes Walz's unwillingness to stand by law enforcement.
Nazis or the Gestapo?
The tactics of wearing
They're
masks.
not.
The tactics of wearing masks.
Why did you tell us that they were the Gestapo? Do you believe that any of the violent illegal immigrants I have mentioned have a right to be in this country?
I don't know what their immigration status was.
They're illegal, violent criminals that the ICE took off the streets of Minneapolis.
You did not say, Congressman, what their status
Governor,
was.
last week, law enforcement officers in the state of Minnesota took 900 pounds of meth off the streets. Do you support that?
We certainly do.
Do you know that ICE assisted in that arrest, those arrests and investigations? Do you support the assistance of ICE in that enforcement action? Yes or no?
I can't speak to that because we were not included in the briefing.
You don't know if ICE was part of it? I'm telling you they were.
I don't have that data.
Then comes the moment that turns the hearing even more personal. Walz had claimed he carried weapons in war. Stauber, whose wife is an Iraq War veteran, calmly but firmly calls him out. He points out that Walz never deployed to a combat zone, meaning he cannot claim combat experience or status. This isn't just political theater, it's a moral issue. Soldiers who have risked their lives are being dishonored when someone falsely claims their experience. The tension in the room is palpable. Stauber makes it clear, this isn't about politics, it's about respect for the men and women who serve in real combat. Every claim Walz made is examined, and the discrepancies are exposed for everyone to see.
I would have to trust you.
Will you apologize to our constituents and law enforcement officers for making them and their families less safe with your incendiary actions?
I'll congratulate them that they helped us work on the largest pension bill for Minnesota law enforcement in 30 years.
Claiming my time. Governor, what weapons did you carry in war?
Congressman, for 24 years I carried...
No. What weapons did you carry in war?
What did you carry in uniform?
I'll tell you what, Governor, you're barking down the wrong tree, okay? You lied to the Minnesotans. You said that you carried weapons in war. That is stolen valor. You know what? My wife served 24 years in the military.
A little bit of respect for the witness.
She's an Iraq war veteran.
You know what I mean?
She was over in the war zone. That's
on a
stolen valor, and I'm so disgusted with you.
Chairman.
And so are the people that you served with.
Point of order.
That's stolen
Halt
valor.
just a minute.
Stolen valor. You didn't carry weapons in war.
Congressman, my 24 years was public
Will
for
you
many
apologize
years.
for lying?
Objection.
Will you apologize for lying?
Objection.
Stauber doesn't stop at words, he brings evidence. He holds up a challenge coin Walz had issued, which claims he retired as a command sergeant major. The reality: Walz retired as a master sergeant and never completed the requirements for the higher rank. By misrepresenting his service, he used a rank he didn't earn to advance politically. Stauber presents this as not just a technicality but a moral violation. Using military accolades as political leverage is the very definition of stolen valor. The room can almost feel the tension as the discrepancy is laid bare, leaving Walz visibly cornered.
Hold on, pause.
That's not questioning a witness. That's not questioning a witness. You
The
think
point of
so,
order.
huh?
State your point, Mr. Rankin.
No, you're
State
yelling
your
at
point.
him. You're
There you
hectoring.
go.
You're hectoring. You're hectoring.
All right.
You're hectoring.
State your
Governor,
point.
you didn't carry
That's
weapons
not-
in war, did you?
State your point.
You didn't
Proceed.
carry
You
weapons
got
in
24
war,
seconds.
did you?
Congressman, you know I
didn't carry
misspoke.
weapons in war, yes or no?
you.
You lied. Governor, what rank did you retire at?
I
What rank did you retire at?
Congressman, I served my battalion as the command sergeant major.
That's not the
and
question
for
I
pay-
asked. What rank did you retire at?
I retired as a master sergeant in
Okay,
EA.
here's your coin that says you're retired at a command sergeant major. That's
Says
your
I wore
challenge
that.
coin.
It
This
says
is-
I wore the rank.
This is that's right. You didn't retire, did you?
I did
Stolen
retire after
valor.
24 years.
Here is a picture of your coin, your challenge
Jesus
coin.
Christ.
I'm disgusted with you. I'm just.
Mr.
Governor,
Chairman, the
you
time
lie
has
when the
expired.
truth-
Congressman,
you lie
I'm-
when the
I'm
truth
Gentleman's
is
time's
better.
expired.
You called half Trump supporters Nazis and fascists, and you know what? That's why the Minnesota Police and Peace Association did not support you in the last election because
Well, I
you're missing
support
in
them.
action.
Gentleman's time's expired.
On behalf of the folks from the land of rocks and cows, thank you. Now you back.
Chair recognizes Ms. Tenney.
Throughout the hearing, Stauber doesn't let Walz spin, deflect, or evade accountability. He dismantles the governor's claims piece by piece, exposing contradictions and lies. This is leadership in action. Stauber shows courage, truth, and accountability, even when the situation is uncomfortable and the stakes are high. By the end of the hearing, it's clear to everyone watching, Governor Walz has been exposed. Stauber's methodical questioning, combined with evidence and personal credibility, creates a striking contrast between someone willing to speak truth to power and someone attempting to avoid responsibility.